Alright guys, welcome back to Buck and Bass Basics. It's see here, it's November 28th. Just finished a little bass tournament this past weekend on Lake of the Ozarks. Finished 3rd overall in the Moyak Kayak Series. And I want to take a few minutes to just talk about a big subject. I've seen 100 videos on it. You know, which rods do I need for tournament fishing, or which rod and reel combos are the most essential, or my top 5 or whatever. So I want to go over a few rods and reels that I think are the basics of what you need. If I had to choose 4 rod and reels to go out and fish a tournament, which 4 setups would I have? So we'll start from the heaviest to the lightest. My first setup, I got my Lew's TP1 speed stick here. It's 7.3 heavy power, fast action rod. I got it paired up with a Lew's BB1. It's a slower gear ratio. I like to throw my swing head jigs on this rod sometimes. So this past weekend I had it set up with this slower reel, the BB1. It's a 5:1 ratio. It's a real slow reel. I like throwing Alabama rigs on it, and I like throwing wobble head jigs on it in the winter. In the summer, I would put a faster reel on here, preferably an 8:1, and I would put 22-pound Seaguar flipping line on it, and I would flip my heavy cover with jigs and heavy Texas rigs. Gotta have a heavy action rod for heavy cover, big baits, big swim baits, Alabama rigs, or when I'm flipping heavy cover. So I got my heavy action rod there. That's essential. Move down the line. I got a Dobyns Fury series here. It's a 7-foot medium heavy fast action rod. It's a really light sensitive rod. I got my Lew's. It's the Pro Series SP. It's a dock flipping reel. There's a lot of docks on the lakes here. Grand Lake, Lake of the Ozarks, a few on Table Rock. So I like to have a fast reel for getting my jigs in and out of that cover and be able to flip them. I like skipping none of these docks. I like using this flat bait. I was skipping this some this weekend. You know, it's the Berkley Maxcent Power Hog. But it's the 7-foot medium heavy rod is, if I could only choose one rod, would be this setup. I can throw spinner baits on it, chatter baits on it, jigs on it, worms on it. Anything I want to throw, it's an all-purpose. You know, all the combos you go out and see, most of them are 7-foot medium heavy. It's the most versatile rod in your box. The all-purpose, do-it-all. Typically, when I go out on my kayak, I have 7 rod and reels that I take, and 4 of them are medium heavy. I just have them set up with different things. Then I go over to my medium action rod. This is a 7.2 Shimano SLX medium action rod. It's got a little backbone. It's got a movable tip. My medium action rods, what I'm going to throw crankbaits on, jerk baits on. Sometimes I throw my chatter baits if I'm not making real long casts, if I'm fishing specific cover. But anything with treble hooks, I'm throwing a medium action rod. 9 times out of 10, unless it's a great big swim bait. But when I'm throwing my little 1.5 square bills, I got a tournament coming up on the 11th. I plan on throwing some flat-sided cranks and some wiggle warts, and that's what it'll be on. It'll be on a medium action, 7-foot, 7'2". I got a Lew's 5/4-1 cranking rod. I'm going to do a whole nother video on reels and speeds and what it means to me on another video. And then get down to my finesse rod. This is a Johnny Morris Carbon Light 2.0, and I got the Johnny Morris Carbon Light 2.0 reel in the 1.5 size. This is a 6.6 medium light action rod. I run 8-pound fluorocarbon line, usually to a 10-pound braid leader, but I put enough, I got that backwards. I run the 10-pound braid main line to a 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, but I'll usually have enough leader on this setup that I can cast with it. I hardly ever get to my braid with it. This past weekend I did real well in Lake of the Ozarks with this rod and throwing a small little jerk bait. I like throwing small jerk baits, my little 3-inch swim baits, marabou jigs, Ned rigs, all my light action stuff on this little rod and reel right here. This is in this really clear water when it's cold. This is my go-to setup. Love it. It's probably my favorite rod I got on my kayak right now. For some reason, I've really gotten a lot of use out of it this year. But you got to have a finesse rod. You have to have light line for your drop shots, your Ned rigs, your small jerks, whatever you're doing. Especially when the bite's hard. You know, sometimes you just got to drop down that size and finish out your limit, which was odd this past weekend. I had caught all the little fish, and then I found them schooling on some shad, and I got my little ultralight out and ended up catching 3 of my keepers on it. So that's my 4 main rods: the heavy, the medium heavy, the medium, and the medium light. That's the 4 rods I think you need. Now, all right guys, so we're talking about the 4 rod and reel setups you need, and I went over my 4 that I really like. Some guys, they don't use bait casters. I have a couple friends that they just really don't like them. They don't fish as much as I do or whatever. You know, and I have a couple of these rods. I got a spinning setup here. I got a 3000 series reel on a 7-foot medium heavy. I think is, yeah, 7-foot medium heavy fast action spinning rod. This is Abu Garcia. And let me tell you, if I'm fishing a fluke or a weightless worm or something, but I need that backbone, I'm skipping under a dock or whatever, and I need a good medium heavy rod to move these fish instead of using my medium light, I will throw this rod. I took it down to Louisiana and I put a fluke on it, and I used it for skipping back under brush and stuff, and it works great. You don't have to have bait casters. I like bait casters. This medium heavy spinning combo, I use it once or twice a year for special occasions when I'm fishing around docks. So, but it's usable. It's a good rod and reel setup. Right. So we were talking about the medium action rod and how we use it with treble hooks. And you know, it's an all-purpose rod. You can use it for other things. You can use it for small spinner baits, and you know, if you're casting a Texas rig on lighter line, you know, you have to downsize your line and you want to use your medium rod for that. That's fine. Some people are, you know, they have the money to spend, or they don't care or whatever. They want, you know, you break it down into specialty rods. Most of the time when I'm using a medium action rod, I like to throw this right here. I have my KVD CC1 6'10", 6'8" medium action composite rod for crankbaiting. I got it on a Tatula 150 with the slower 6:4 gear ratio. I don't use a graphite medium action rod that much, but if I was recommending the 4 rods, that would be an all-purpose rod that you could use for more than anything. But I really like having my composite rods as a specialty rod. This rod right here with a little 1.0 KVD square bill, it put fish in the boat this year when I really needed them to. So I can throw this, you know, I can knock my line down to 10-pound fluorocarbon, put on a little square bill, this lighter carbon composite rod, and really get in there and get these fish, you know. That's for the guys that want to have a little more specialty to their rod and reels. But for the most part, the 4 basics, you know, your medium, your heavy action, your medium heavy, your medium, and then your medium light. Have those 4 setups, and I think you're good to go.